What's going on? So let me show you the new Charlotte. So right now I'm on top of the rooftop of the YMCA located right off of South Boulevard. This is the Dow branch. So you see those two buildings right there? I wasn't there when I first got here. They just built those like, probably about a year or two ago. You know what I'm saying? When I first got back from Atlanta. And right here, I don't know if you can see it, but that's the Bank of America Stadium where the Carolina Panthers play at. Let's pan over here. And that's Charlotte Uptown right there. When I first got here in 2009, man, the only building on this side of Uptown was that building right here. I think that's the Bank of America building and the Westin Hotel, and that was it. All of this stuff right here is new. All these buildings. Uptown 550 right there, new. And it's still building, as you can see. Okay, right here, this is Moorhead Street. You know what I'm saying? And they're building up Moorhead Street. See all the cranes in the sky? It's like cranes in the sky. That's that Beyonce sister song. Yeah, they're building all the way down Moorhead Street, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Man, this is the new Charlotte. Brand new. Whole new city. Straight up. Built over the old one. And that's real talk. What's going on? So what you just saw, was Uptown on the side of where Dilworth is at, South End and South Boulevard. And it's crazy, I know, your Charlotteans would reminisce, further back more than I have. I got here at 2009. I think it was like 2009, 2010 when I moved to Charlotte. And then I left, of course, you all know the story. Some of you all do. I left and went to Atlanta for about 2 to 3 years and came back, in 2019. So when I got here, those buildings were not there, for real, Uptown 550 and all of those, for those that are familiar with Charlotte and Uptown, all of those high-rise buildings, apartments or condos and stuff like that along Stonewall wasn't there. Where Whole's Food is at, right there by the Lynx train, the Stonewall station, that didn't exist. That Whole's Food, it actually was a club there. And I never forget that club, you know what I'm saying? I never really went there because it was a whole lot of hoopla. Every time I would attempt to go, it was something always going down in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Charlotte, in other words, Charlotte was a different place than in the past when I first got here than what it is now. And, it's crazy. When I got here in 2009, I saw potential. Now I'm coming out of this. I'm stepping out of this. Now I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm stepping out of this city life type of mentality and wanted to live more of a pleasant, peaceful life. But when I first got here, I was like city. I was on this. I want to move to a bigger city because I was just leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, and of course, I lived in New York. And I didn't want to go back to New York because of the fact that, it's just too expensive. And also on top of that, the weather, it's too cold, snow and all of that stuff. I ain't got time for that. So when I got to Charlotte, I was like, yo, man, Charlotte has the potential of being a bigger city, and I wish that it would grow. And it's crazy. They always say this. And now I realize it. Be careful what you wish for. Now that Charlotte is bigger, now that Charlotte is so-called better and more modernized, I don't like this new Charlotte. I just don't. I prefer the old one. Real talk. Because the older Charlotte was more like a hippie, laid-back, relaxed city. Straight up. Now it's all about the hustle and bustle. Now it's just like any other ordinary, major city. Traffic, rude people, privileged people. It doesn't make a difference what race. Nowadays, everybody thinks that it feels as though they're privileged. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the Charlotte that I remember. Straight up. And, Still Creek, the Still Creek area, it used to be peaceful. It used to be where, okay, you know what? If I want to get into some action or whatever have you, I could go to Uptown, and get involved in all the rest of that stuff. But then once, I don't want to be bothered with all of the rowdy, I can go back to the suburbs, which is Still Creek. Nowadays, the suburbs, Still Creek is all rowdy. Traffic, Rivergate area, for those that are familiar with Rivergate area, you go there now a little late at night, 9, 10 o'clock at night at Harris Teeter, you see, people smoking weed, and, they got this new chicken spot that's right next to the Harris Teeter. It's just crazy, man. And I'm not saying that Charlotte didn't have its problems in the past. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, it was, what's so funny? Throughout all these years, I talked about how Charlotte didn't have a culture, an identity. That's what I said in specific. And nowadays, I realized that Charlotte did. In the past. Charlotte, in the past, was just this best kept secret. Quiet, small, but big city. Straight up. Prior to all the transplants coming in, prior to all the, Google, Fiber, and all of these companies and corporations coming in, prior to them revamping Uptown, it was this small but big city. Now things have changed. And things are not peaceful anymore. It's just traffic all the time. And this crime, I'm not saying that crime happens on a consistent basis in Still Creek, but nowadays, crime happens all over Charlotte. It's not just in one designated area like how it used to be back in the past. And it's crazy because like Charlotte, you got places, cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, Tampa, all of these cities, that are on the come up. It's like in the past, nobody dealt with those cities. Nobody even thought about moving to no Charlotte or no Tampa or no Raleigh or no Durham or nothing like that. But then, these cities, these bigger cities become overcrowded. People just tired of the hustle and bustle and of this and of that. And they move. And now, those people that move from, cities like New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, they're coming here in drones. And I'm not going to blame them for the change, but I will say that they didn't make Charlotte better. I'm not going to sit here and blame transplants, other people that came from other cities and states that came here and fucked it up. Now, I'm not going to say that because we all gave a collaborative effort. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is, come on, let's be real. City council really did its job. Because they allowed Charlotte straight up, to pretty much get effed by everybody. Charlotte is has become a whore to major corporations. You know what I'm saying? And now, man, at one point in time, I remember like deciding on where I wanted to live in Charlotte when my lease was up. And the prices in apartments and houses, as far as renting or owning at the time, and I really didn't consider owning a house at that, years back. I didn't see this coming, and even if I did, I wasn't planning on staying and living in Charlotte for the rest of my life, but they were affordable. You know what I'm saying? In the past, Charlotte was very much affordable. And believe it or not, at one point in time, you could live just about anywhere you wanted to live in Charlotte for a decent price. It wasn't that much expensive. But now the prices are just as expensive. I know, because I used to live in Atlanta. They're just as expensive as it is in Atlanta. The prices are just as competitive as the prices, the competitive, they're not even competitive. They run hand in hand with Atlanta's prices. Real talk. And there's certain put it to you like this: if you visit Atlanta on a frequent basis, if you lived in Atlanta, there's certain areas in Charlotte that look like Atlanta, because they brung the same developers that developed Atlanta and Metro Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, and built the houses and the communities and stuff like that in Atlanta and Metro Atlanta. They hire them to come up here and do the same thing to Charlotte. Real talk. And it's crazy because, I try to talk to the youth. You know what I'm saying? I try to talk to chicks, and I ain't gonna call them chicks, young females and males. You know what I'm saying? Between the ages of 20 and 35, and I try to explain to them, like, technology and modernization of our society, it's not always a good thing. It really isn't. We supposed to be, now we're leading into this highly advanced type of civilization, with AI, automation, the work that the manual labor or work that human beings, would normally do, we can replace human beings with, AI, robots to do the job. And I'm just trying to understand, as years progress, why is it that since we're living in a more modernized tech world, why is it that we're experiencing more homelessness than we ever experienced? Whether it's Charlotte, Atlanta, why are we experiencing more people that are suffering? Why are we experiencing hyperinflation? Why are prices getting, food, shelter, and clothing becoming more expensive? I'm trying to understand that. How will we, if you understand where I'm coming from, how will we so modernize and advance more so than the generations prior? You know what I'm saying? The Generation X's and the baby boomers and etc. How is it that it costs way more to live now than what it costs in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 30s and the 20s? I'll wait for that answer. And please be wise with the answer that you give. I would suggest that, or at least would have thought that things would get better. Things would get better. But they haven't. And now I can tell you, I don't plan on living in Charlotte for the rest of my life, but even if I were trying to live in Charlotte for the rest of my life, I can tell you right as of now, there's certain places in Charlotte where I've been priced out. Well, there's no possible way I can live in this area, that area, that area. No way. And that's just not right. People should be able to live wherever they feel that they want to live. You know what I'm saying? JP Morgan, what did they do? I think they bought, they invested $1 billion into the housing markets, meaning that they bought up houses. Now you have corporate landlords. I talked about this about a year or two ago when we was going through, the 19 thing. I don't want to say the full thing. I talked about that. I talked about America's Homes for Rent, Progressive. I talked about them. That they're making it very, very difficult for first-time homeowners. Because these corporations are now landlords. They're the landlords now. You had a dude, I think he was a representative of Progressive, if I'm not mistaken. He said it on 60 Minutes. He said, the American dream is to be rented. Now you can rent the American dream. That's what he said. At one point in time, you could own it. Now you can rent it. I'm just trying to understand, how is life getting better when all actuality is getting worse? Real talk. How did Charlotte become this city where it's on? And please, miss me with the BS in the comment section. Well, that's happening everywhere. And I'm not talking about everywhere. And I'm sorry, I apologize for getting a little aggressive and raising my voice. But I get sick and tired of people saying, well, that's happening in this place and that place. I'm not talking about that place and this place and this place. You understand? I'm talking about Charlotte. How do we get to the point where now it's like, people that were born and raised here can't afford to live here? And I don't want to hear you non-emotional people either. I'm telling you, if somebody gives me a non-emotional and an inhumane answer, I'm going to block you. Straight up. Because I've gotten those type of answers in the past, and those people were blocked. I'll give you an example. Like, they would say, well, man, if you can't keep up. This is the comments that human beings would make with no compassion, no sympathy. Well, if you're not making a certain amount of money to live in Charlotte, then there's no need for you to live there. You don't supposed to be living there. That's what you're going to tell the people that were born and raised here? That have a history, and the history has been erased because now Cherry is not called Cherry anymore. It's called Midtown. And the only remnants of that black area is this is crazy. It's like a mural in front of the Wendy's. If you're familiar with the area in Midtown, in front of the Wendy's, it's a mural where the bus stop is at of an old black man and an old black woman sitting next to each other. And then it says Cherry neighborhood or something like that. That's it. This is so crazy to me. See, when I first got here, I learned about the history of Charlotte. I learned about Brooklyn. See, some of you all don't give a flying fuck about the history. All y'all care about is what's popping now. Not what came before you. Not who paved the way. Now, what's popping now? And I just see this, man. I see it in every generation. You know what I'm saying? One generation grows up, has kids, and major corporations, companies, they build around the future generations. So you got these young kids that's living in Uptown. That was unheard of back in the days. Nobody was living in Uptown. People would hang out there or some shit like that. That's it. But you got these kids nowadays, they live in Uptown, South End. That was unheard of too. South End wasn't excuse me, South End wasn't nothing. The only reason why I would go down to South End, and it wasn't even in South End, it was like South Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? They had a Healthy Home Market, a grocery store that was way more better than Whole Foods there. And I used to get all my alkaline water. You know what I'm saying? They had all the herbs in bulk. You know what I'm saying? Herbs such as St. John's wort, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, spirulina. The list goes on. That was a real organic grocery store. Whole Foods. Let me pronounce it right because y'all get me on that. Whole Foods is a commercial organic grocery store. It's commercialized. Healthy Home Market was family owned. And they had I think it was 5 spots. And one of them was off of South Boulevard. And then after that, they moved it on to Central Avenue, over there by Central Avenue. That's the only reason why I would go down there. That's it. But you have these people, these kids, they're living in, and they building everything for them. You know what I'm saying? They giving them the grocery store. They giving everything. Hear me out. Especially you young folks. Listen to what I'm saying. So these kids are hype. You know what I'm saying? They like, oh yeah, I live in Uptown and blah, 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 and this and that and so forth. And even they remodeled the YMCA, Dowd. Now the Dowd is decked out. It ain't like it used to be. You know what I'm saying? And now Uptown is the spot. Vermeer Park, all of that. They extended the train, the Lynx train, all the way up to UNC Charlotte. They did all of that stuff for this generation. And this generation doesn't even realize that they're getting played. Because all they did was put in toys in your fish tank, along with that gerbil wheel that you're running in. You paying $1,500, $1,600, $2,000. Some people paying $2,300 or more a month to live in Uptown. And ain't nothing but a cubby hole. They stacking you all on top of each other. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to go anywhere. You work there, you play. Don't you see that? Don't you see that? You see the game? You're literally in a prison. Not even realizing it. That's you work there, you play, you shit, you fuck. Everything in that one isolated area. And then once you grow up and have kids, then they gonna tear Charlotte up again. And it's musical chairs that they playing with one another. Excuse me, not one another, with us. Now they taking over Uptown, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, the inner city. And kicked all the poor people out. And then come a couple years later, they're going to go back out to the suburbs and then kick all of the poor people out of there and bring them back into the inner city. And we don't even realize it. And this ain't nothing but a big ass goddamn game. And you know who's getting played? Us. Yeah, man. Charlotte used to be this cool, laid back, fly city. And now it's just some bland city shit. My name is Langston2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, definitely share this video.